Order. Hunt. Mark. Order. Halt. Present. Arms.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red flare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Shoulder. Arms. Ready. Cut. Counter march. March. Color guard. Halt. Order. Hold. Post the colors. Present. Arm. Shoulder. Arm. Ready, cut. Counter march. March.
Was the religious community that Roger and his family belonged to, and where his final funeral was given. The newest priest from St. Joseph's, Father Julio Jimenez, will be supporting the memory of Roger with a prayer and a blessing. Father?
It is truly an honor to be here. I was moved when I learned about Roger, and especially when I learned about his age. Let's stop. With a sincere heart, I want to offer my homage to Roger. We pray. Our Father, as we rededicate this memorial, we offer our thanks for the men and women who served our nation with distinction during a period of great peril, not only for America, but for the whole world. We remember today, in a very special way, Roger Taylor. But it is not for us here to honor him, for he covered himself with honor by his devotion to duty in the face of great danger. Rather, we remember him and pray for that day when wars shall cease and the energies and treasures and youth of the nations will be employed to enrich the lives of all your children on the face of the earth. Until that day comes, grant us the determination to make the hard decisions we must to deter those who would impose an alien way of life upon this nation and deny our sacred freedoms under God. Bless now the ceremonies of this hour, and grant grace, mercy, and peace unto us all. The Lord be with you. May Almighty God bless you, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
So many of us have memories and stories about Roger Taylor Park. This small triangular acre of land, bordered by Maple Street, Highland Terrace, and our flyover. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, everyone please sit down. Thank you. But I appreciate you standing up while I'm talking. So it's bordered by Maple Street, Highland Terrace, Morningside, and Walnut Drive. Preserved in perpetuity by the village around Lake Beach on September 28, 1945. My name is Mary Behrens. On behalf of my brother Jeff Deneke, Rosemary Petercourt, and me, we are honored that all of you came here today to celebrate with us the rededication of Roger Taylor Park. The interest and the response from the military community, the local government, the police, the media, the volunteers, and even the voluntold has been remarkable. I grew up across the street. I am one of Ken and Trudy Denneke's 12 children. I am the 8th born, the middle child, so to speak. My oldest sibling is 10 years older than me. And the youngest is 10 years younger. Please stand if you're in the audience. My siblings from oldest to youngest, Audrey, Ken, Ed, Jeff, Hank, Patty, I'm already standing, Larry, Jeannie, Joni, and Paul. We, along with our friends and neighbors, created many memories here on this land. And we played baseball, football, not me, my brothers played football, countless games of 500, American Eagle and tag. We climbed these trees and we rode our bikes around these 3 corners. And sometimes Roger Taylor Park was just a quiet place to come sit, think, and dream. In 2012, my brother Jeff reached out to me as he was doing research on a story for his blog, Never Forget. This began a year-long quest for both of us, which was filled with twists and turns, delightful surprises, tearful moments, many breathtaking discoveries, and of course, our new dear friend, Rosemary Petercourt. In many ways, today is the cumulation of an amazing journey. A letter written 17th of April, 1945. Dear Mrs. Taylor, it is with deepest regret and sincere sympathy that I write to you about the death of your son, Private Roger W. Taylor. Roger was the caliber Marine that made the capture of Iwo Jima possible. He was admired and respected by all the men who knew him. End letter. The brave and heroic story of Roger Taylor did not begin here in Round Lake Beach, although he passed through our community, living briefly just on the street from here. Roger's story goes far beyond this small plot of land. Roger's life ended with heroism and tragedy at Iwo Jima, but the memory of Roger Taylor continues. Today we rededicate this park in his honor. Mayor Rich Hill has been a resident of Round Lake Beach since 1977. Mayor since April of 2001 and a village trustee from 1995 to 2001. Giving back to his community has always been important to him. That is the reason why he is here today with us for this special occasion. Mayor.
Thank you, Mary. I really appreciate being given the opportunity today to speak and say a few words in regards to the rededication here. And first of all, welcome to Round Lake Beach for those of you from outside the community. It's great to see so many people come out for an event such as this, residents from the community, from outside the community, a lot of the local elected officials, and all of our current and past military that's here really make this day very special. We're here today to celebrate not only the courage and commitment of U.S. Marine Corps Private Roger Taylor as we rededicate this park in his honor, but also the freedom and liberty that sacrifices like his have allowed us and families and all of our families to live under. He died for his country in a foreign land so we could live in ours free. Imagine what our lives would be like if we're not for men and women like him. We take far too much for granted rather than appreciating the true cost of freedom and liberty. I ask that each of you remembers this each and every day, that you share with others, especially the children, for they are our future and the protectors of freedom and liberty in the future. The kids will be playing in this park, not just today, but in the past and the future. They've learned a lot, hopefully, from you and your families and your grandpas and grandmas, moms and dads, and they'll learn a lot from us also. So let's keep that going. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and this rededication is really wonderful and an honor for Round Lake Beach. May God bless America.
A rededication of Roger Taylor Park was not what my brother Jeff Denneke intended when he decided to research the history of Roger W. Taylor. Yet, here we are today with all you fine people. Jeff has a few thoughts he would like to share with you. Jeff?
Good morning. I have a convoluted story to tell, and I have the microphone. I have the power. Growing across the street from this park, I have read the commemorative tablet thousands of times. The inscription, gratefully dedicated to the memory of the man whose name it bears, was the heartfelt sentiment of family, friends, neighbors, and the small Round Lake community when this park was dedicated to Roger's memory on an extremely cold day in November 1945. In spite of that cold weather, a newspaper article recorded a very good crowd was present. Also noted in that report was that several servicemen in uniform were present to add color to the occasion. Take a look around this park today. Nicer weather, a very good crowd, and many men and women in uniform are present. We gather here today to honor Roger and also to stand with those that stood here 68 years ago to pay their respect to this fallen Marine. We are bonded with them through space and time by our acknowledgement that this one man's sacrifice in the service of this nation is relevant, is still relevant, and deserving of our respect. What else are we saying by our presence here today? It is my hope that we come together this day to honor the sacrifice not only of Roger Taylor, but all those who fought and died for this country. That we still recognize the enormity of their sacrifice and will never forget them, even as generations pass. How do we accomplish this? I believe by understanding our history, be it of family, our community, or our country. I have lived in California for over 30 years, and yet I have not forgotten these words about being gratefully dedicated to the memory. I took them to heart. In my youth, I would on occasion have brief talks with Roger, a man I never met. These talks would remind me of my mother's only brother, my Uncle Ernest, who served in the U.S. Army and died at the age of 22 outside of Normandy, France during World War II. This memorial marker was the last place I visited just prior to leaving for the beginning of my military service. I spoke with Roger and my uncle and asked them to keep a watch over me. This was also the first place I visited 4 years later to thank them when my service had reached an honorable and safe completion. Keeping their memory alive just in my heart seemed to be limited recognition of their service. I wrote briefly about them in a blog that I posted 2 years ago on Memorial Day. In that story, I mentioned my uncle, my father's service with the 6th Marine Division on Okinawa, the bloody battle that followed Iwo Jima, and the little I knew of Roger Taylor. What I knew then of Roger is inscribed on this marker, and the fact that he once lived a couple doors down on Highland Terrace, and that he died somewhere during World War II. That is not much information about such a great sacrifice. And I knew almost as little as of my uncle's service and sacrifice. As years passed, any mention of my uncle was rare in my family. Yet what little I could write, I wrote from my heart. And I posted it on my blog, and off it went into cyberspace. Then a little magic happened. The seed from this posting fell onto fertile soil and slowly took root. That memorial story, which I titled Gratefully Dedicated, reached through space and time and landed in the Netherlands, where a man named Guido Orange took a personal interest. Mr. Orange had in his possession a duffel bag with my uncle's name and service number still stenciled on it. It had been in the Orange family for over 68 years, as his grandfather had purchased the bag near the end of the war, and it was used by the family. for camping trips and other outings. It was handed down through several generations of their family. One day, Guido left a comment on my blog site on Valentine's Day, telling me of this bag and his willingness to send it to me while asking for nothing in return. I called my mother and told her that she had a Valentine gift from a man named Guido who lived in the Netherlands. It sounded suspicious to her. Guido did send the duffel bag to me in California, and I mailed it here to my mother. We had reached back in time and reconnected with a long-lost family member. Prompted by the discovery of this bag, I researched my uncle's 4 years of military service and wrote a story I titled In Memory of Ernest. With the help of family, I was able to track my uncle's service with the 603rd Tank Destroyer Battalion until his death on August 9, 1944. He lies in rest with 4,409 other honored dead at the Brittany American Cemetery and Memorial in France. Roger Taylor had kept my uncle's memory alive through my small talks with him, and I felt I was honor-bound to do something for him in return. I asked my sister, Mary Behrens, if she can uncover any information from the village of Round Lake regarding Roger. After following several different leads, she found the sister and only sibling of Roger, Rosemary Taylor Petercourt. Rosemary had, in her possession, a tin box containing official documents, photographs, and many letters that her brother had written during his 8 months in the United States Marine Corps. Roger was a prolific letter writer, and his thoughtful and descriptive letters painted a very clear picture of the man he had become. Rosemary, following her mother's wishes, had not opened that box of treasures until after being contacted by Mary. Once that box was open, Rosemary was reintroduced to her brother. Let me tell you a little bit about Roger's very short but full life. Roger's family moved from Chicago to Round Lake Beach in the early 1940s. His mother's dream of having a house in the country was realized when they bought a home just down the block from here on Highland Terrace. Roger attended Grand High School in Antioch, as Round Lake did not have a high school yet. He was a very bright young man, finishing third in his graduating class of 1943. He was a talented musician, played multiple instruments, and had a dream of becoming an aeronautical engineer. Friends and family that I have spoken with said that they were very surprised that Roger had joined the Marines. He did not fit their image of a Marine. Roger read about the U.S. Marine Corps history, and it called to him. He wanted to be a member of the United States Marine Corps. It became his passion. He entered the Marine Corps in June of 1944, trained at Camp Pendleton, scoring expert with his rifle, and receiving advanced training in heavy weapons. He was shipped out to Hawaii, where the 4th and 5th Marine Divisions were based. Roger became part of a replacement draft for the 4th Marine Division, which meant that he would not know which unit he would be assigned to until he was called forward. Approximately 2,600 men were assigned to each division as replacements, and they were intended to be used for offloading supplies on the beachhead and to slowly fill the ranks drained by casualty loss while being watched over by those already tested in battle. Casualties came quickly in horrific numbers on Iwo Jima, and many men, less than a year removed from civilian life, soon found themselves called forward and assigned to units already engaged in a battle without mercy. Replacements found themselves on Iwo Jima fighting alongside Marines that they did not know and against an enemy they could not see. Iwo Jima was an especially bad place for replacements. The entire 8 square miles of that tiny island was considered the front. Roger was assigned to Easy Company, 2nd Battalion, 24th Regiment, 4th Marine Division on February 24th, 1945. The next day, The 2nd Battalion began their assault on an area they named the Meat Grinder. Roger was part of a machine gun crew. Roger Wallace Taylor died on March 2nd, 1945, on Hill 382, the day before it was finally secured. By midday of March 3rd, Easy Company no longer existed. They had been wiped out. Roger had been a member of Easy Company for just over a week. Roger was buried on Iwo Jima in the 4th Marine Division Cemetery and remained there for almost 3 years before being reinterred in Round Lake in early 1949. He now lies in his eternal rest at St. Joseph's Cemetery. We all have Roger Taylors in our life. Family members, friends, or neighbors that served in the military and made the ultimate sacrifice and slowly faded from our daily conversations. They might have served in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, or Afghanistan. They might have served in the Marines, the Army, the Navy, or the Air Force. Our responsibility to those that serve in the military is to elect leaders that will not put them in harm's way without just cause. But if armed conflict cannot be avoided, then we must make certain that we support them in every way possible. Our men and women currently in uniform depend on us not to forget about them. My father returned after the war, got married, had the 12 children, 23 grandchildren, 9 great-grandchildren, and more still on the way. Kenneth William Denneke passed away in 1999. Roger was the only male in his small family, and the family name came to an end upon his death. I have heard many people of late who have told me that they have passed by this park many times over the years, and that they had no idea that it is dedicated to a fallen Marine and the only man from Round Lake Beach to have died in World War II. I invite everyone here to return to Roger Taylor Park and talk with him, or those that are close to your heart. They are not dead until they are forgotten. Let us not forget. May God bless you all.
Al Seiler in the Marine Corps League of Lake County helped us plan and organize the rededication. They went above and beyond what we could have imagined. What Al is about to unveil here is only because of the generosity of the Marine Corps League of Lake County. After today, the answers to who Roger W. Taylor was, why this park was dedicated to him, is clearly stated. He will always be honored and forever remembered. Please welcome Al Seiler.
Who was Roger Taylor? Well, I think today we've gotten the answer to that question. The plaque that said, gratefully dedicated to the man named above. Well, man named above? Is that a politician? A poet? A fireman? A policeman? No one knew. But thanks to Mary and Jeff, they found out it was a Marine. A Marine that was killed on Iwo Jima, March 2nd, 1945. In the 1940s, the entire world was at war. Europe was torn apart by Hitler's armies, and England stood alone. The Japanese Empire savaged the South Pacific and China. The United States was reluctantly dragged into the war when our Navy was decimated by a sneak attack on Pearl Harbor. Island by island, the Marines and the Navy fought back. Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Peleliu were taken back. The Marianas, Saipan, Guam, Tinian, gave us the air bases to station the brand new B-29, 1,200 miles away from Japan, so they could fly there and rain destruction. Halfway between Japan and the Marianas was a small 4-mile-long island shaped like a pork chop. Only thing that had ever been done there was mine sulfur. No fresh water. It was home to 3 airfields. And from there, the Japanese attacked the B-29s. They staged raids on the Marianas. If we controlled those 3 airfields, fighter escort could accompany those B-29s all the way to Japan and back. Crippled planes would now have a safe haven to land, be repaired, offload their wounded, save lives. It was indeed strategic. We knew it was strategic. The Japanese knew it was strategic. Iwo Jima was Japanese home soil. No foreign army had set foot on Japanese soil for over 5,000 years. 22,000 Japanese Imperial Marines under the command of General Kobayashi were determined not to lose it. The Japs were not on Iwo Jima, they were in it. They dug 16 miles of tunnels on that 4-mile-long island, over 1,500 rooms, so that the entire defense was underground. They boasted it would take 100,000 men, 100 years to take Iwo Jima. On February 19, 1945, after 73 days of aerial bombardment and 3 days of naval gunfire, Marines hit the beach. Roger Taylor landed on the 3rd day as a part of a machine gun crew with 2nd Battalion, 24th Marines, 224 of the 4th Marine Division. They moved towards the 1st airfield. 4 days after the initial landing, a flag was raised atop Mount Suribachi. A picture of that flag rising was taken by Joe Rosenthal and became the most famous picture of World War II. But the fighting was not over. Roger Taylor 224 moved through withering machine gun fire, mortars, and rockets to cross those airfields. Now they faced the teeth of the Japanese defense. The meat grinder, the second highest point on the island to Mount Suribachi was Hill 382. The Turkey Knob, the amphitheater. 224 and Roger were given the order to take Hill 382. Frontal assault was the only viable tactic. They made it to the top. As night fell, the Japs came out of the tunnels and out of the caves. There were no front lines on Iwo Jima. It was man-to-man, hand-to-hand, for 3 days and nights on Hill 382. Sometime during that second night, Roger was killed on March 2nd. After the 3rd night, 224 was relieved, and they were able to get their dead and wounded down off of the hill. 224 ceased to exist at that time, as there was only 12 men of over 250 of 224 that came off of that hill, either not wounded or dead. March 26th, Iwo Jima was secured after 36 days of the ugliest fighting the world has ever seen. 70,000 U.S. Marines, 22,000 Japanese Marines on 8-square-mile island At that point in time, that was the most populated piece of ground anywhere in the world. There were 10,000 troops per mile. Stop and think about that. That's a lot of people. $5,931 Marines were killed on Iwo Jima out of 6,821 U.S. losses. Only 212 Japanese were left, and 2 of those surrendered in 1951. More men were killed, more ships were lost on Iwo Jima than were lost in the invasion of Normandy. 27 medals of honor were awarded at Iwo. Admiral Nimitz said of those who served on Iwo, uncommon valor was a common virtue. We're here today to remember and honor Roger Taylor and all those Marines who did the impossible at Iwo. They created the traditions that were carried on in the Chosin Reservoir, Khe Sanh, Fallujah, Anwar Province. We'll always remember those who went before us. A Marine is not dead until the last person forgets. Roger Taylor will always be a Marine. He said it best himself in a letter to his mom on January 12th, 1945. Quote, "Don't worry about me, because I'm with the best men in the world." At this time, we'd like to invite Rosemary. Warren, would you come up and help Rosemary? And we'd like to unveil the new monument and see how it looks today.
My parents and I and my family, we thank you so much for coming today and bestowing this honor on Roger. It has really been a beautiful, beautiful thing. And this plaque. And to all of our service people who give so much to keep us free. Thank you.
A new plaque has been placed below the original. You all have a chance to see it all up here. It says, "Park rededicated July 5th, 2013, in memory of Roger Taylor, United States Marine Corps. Died March 2nd, 1945, at the Battle of Iwo Jima, World War II."
It is amazing just how many people have helped us through this journey. We had a snafu for the delivery of the plaque was delayed. A very recent example, on Wednesday, one of the Marine Corps League wives, Barb, drove to Toledo, Ohio and back. That's 12 hours, just so we could have the plaque in time. Thank you, Barb. It's incredible. And when a member of the Northern Illinois Pipes and Drums read the Leatherneck article and realized that the park he had been driving past with no regard for so many years is dedicated to a Marine, he generously offered the gift of their musical support which we have enjoyed during today's ceremony. Thank you, Mayoral and the Northern Illinois Pipes and Drums. To the youngest participants of the rededication ceremony, Hannah Ruas from Rogers Alma Mater Grant High School in Fox Lake, and Grace Hayes from Barrington High School. Thank you very much. And to the members of our armed forces, past and present, thank you for keeping us safe, and thank you for your service. God bless you and the United States of America. And my brother Jeff wants to say just a quick thank you.
I have a friend back in California who encouraged me to start writing a couple of years ago. Her name is Suzanne Cruze. She's a very good friend of mine, and it wasn't for her encouragement and editing at times that none of this would have happened, so I thank her very much. I'll also say that a lot of these touches around here are the results of my sister Mary's very hard work, and her husband Kurt, who has put time and money and has been involved in every part of this ceremony. So I thank you very much, Kurt. Thank you for coming tonight. It's been a great day.
Then we have the playing of Amazing Grace by Northern Illinois Pipes and Drums.
Present. Arm. Order. Arm. Ready, cut. Retrieve the colors.